Hi there folks, it's Ian here. How are you doing? I hope you're well. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a very modern page builder for WordPress called ETCH to build an icon button. Now, if you're not sure what an icon button is, I've got some examples over here. They are basically just buttons with icons on them. Pretty simple stuff. Now, before I used ETCH, I was a Bricks builder user, and before that, Elementor. So I thought what we'd do is we'd just quite a little tour, a little diversion, just to see how Elementor and Bricks deal with icon buttons. So here we are in Elementor at the minute. It's probably the most well-known page builder of all time. This and Divi are kind of like high up there. They're not the best page builders, without a doubt. They are getting better, but they're still quite far and away from ETCH, for example, but they do have a very long list of elements available to them, and one of them happens to be a button. So we'll add a button to the canvas here, and from here we can adjust the text, we can adjust the link, we can add an icon. So we'll just choose an angry face for no reason. It just happens to be the first one to click on. We can use these icons here to adjust the positioning of the icon on the button. So we here got it on the end or the beginning, and we've got a nice little slider here to adjust the gap between the button and the text and the icon, which is pretty cool. In Bricks Builder, very similar kind of situation. We'll just add a section here, and we're going to add the button element, which is there. On here we can add an icon. We're just going to choose this Airbnb icon here, and we've got the same option here for moving the icon from left to right. Now, strangely, the default position, I'm sure it said left, but it says right. If we choose left, we move the icon to the left. If we put it back to the right, we can adjust the gap here. It doesn't have a handy slider, but you can just drop any kind of value in here, such as 50 pixels, for example. Now, onto ETCH. Now, ETCH doesn't have a massive list of elements to choose from. If we zoom in down here, here's what we got. We got a section, we got a container, we got a div, we got a heading, text, anchor link, image, iframe, SVG, and then we've got loops and conditions, but there ain't no button icon. So it looks like we're going to have to create it from scratch. Now, it just so happens that I need this button for another project, so I thought it'd be fun to record myself making it. And, I'm not the world's greatest web developer by any stretch of the imagination. You will probably look at what I'm doing and just go, Ian, we could have done this in 5 minutes. And yeah, you're probably right. But we are going to meet some speed bumps along the way, I am sure, and I'm going to have to learn some stuff. But I think that makes it for a much more interesting video instead of one of those really polished videos where the content creator has got something off screen which is teaching them like a process, a list of exactly what they need to do. Well, I don't have that. We're just gonna make our way through it slowly, not too slowly. I'm not going to keep you here for ages. Well, that's the hope anyway. Right, Ian, shut up. Let's get cracking. So first thing we need to do is add a section. Now, important to tell you that I'm using AutomaticCSS, which is a CSS framework from the same team who designed and built ETCH. So the two are designed to work really well together. You don't have to use AutomaticCSS with ETCH, but like I said, they do work really well together. So we're going to be using some ACSS styling when it comes to the button, and we'll see that a little bit later on. Now, the point of a button is to link someone from somewhere to somewhere else. So we're going to start with a anchor link. It seems the most obvious choice. And we've got some options here in the settings. We can adjust the content. So I'll just put click here to download. And then in the href, we'll just say, okay, when someone clicks this link, we're going to send them to Google. All pretty simple stuff. So I know when someone clicks on this link on the web page, they're going to go to Google. But we don't want that. We don't want to send people off to Google. We need an icon. We know we've got an SVG element, so we will add that. And as you can see now, it's actually attached the SVG element to the anchor, which is good. They're now kind of the same element. They're one and the same. So if I pick this up and moved it around, it literally picked the whole thing up. And that's what we want. We want to do that. We're going to give this a name. We're going to call it icon button. We're going to leave text as it is because that's fine. We're going to change the name of the SVG to icon. There we go. Really, really simple. Now, before we can start styling things to make these look like an icon button, we need to add CSS classes to this icon button. Now, you can't really style anything in Etch without adding a class to it, whether that's a random class or any kind of named class. But the good thing is in Etch, it's really simple to do that. In Bricks and Divi and all these other things, you can do any kind of styling you like on any element, and you don't even need to use CSS classes. That's not the right way to do it. That's pretty stupid, if I'm honest. But luckily, in Etch, we can't really do anything until we've done that. Now, Etch uses BEM for assigning classes to things. All you got to do is just name the elements exactly how you want them. Right-click, click on Create BEM Classes, and that's it. You're done. We can see the icon button here has got the icon button class, and the SVG has the icon button _icon class, which is fantastic. Text doesn't have a class because it's attached to the parent link element. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, over here on the canvas, we can see that the icon is underneath the text. We need to get these two in a row. So I know we're going to use flex for that. Now, Etch has this very unique mini GUI, okay, in this window here. This is where all the fun stuff with regards to styling takes place. So we'll select flex row, and we can see now that they are on the same row, but we need to get them aligned vertically. So we'll just select this one here to align them vertically like that. Now, we're going to put a bit of gap in there as well, just to add a bit of gap between the text and the icon. If we want to move the icon before the text, we can just literally pick it up and move it there. But I've always been taught that the most important part of any link is the text. So anything else kind of should appear after that. But what happens if we do want the icon before the text? Well, what we can actually do is we can use CSS to move it there. So we'll click on the icon element, and then we'll just put order -1, and then that moves the icon before the text. Now, the icon is quite large at the minute, but what we're going to do is we're going to change the icon. We're going to swap it out. We're going to use this heart. Wow. The heart is massive. It's absolutely huge. So we need to get control of this icon. Now, as I'm an ACSS user, I know that this text here is what is called medium-sized text. It's the base font size for the whole website. So if we look in the ACSS dashboard at the text panel, we can see that the desktop base size is 18 pixels. So we'll just close that. We're going to make this icon 18 pixels. So can we use a font size on this? Let's have a look. Okay, no, we cannot. It adjusted it a little bit, but it's not literally brought it down to 18 pixels. What about the width or the height? I think height is probably a better one to use. Ah, right, okay, so we got height, but height is not the right property to use. There are what is called logical properties in CSS, and I'm just learning more about this. So let's see if we can find the right one to use. Now, apparently there's something on the mini GUI that we can use for this, and it could be this one here, the height, min height. Do you want that? Max width, min height. Okay, not sure. Maybe if we use block. So block height, block size, 18 pixels. There we go. We're off to the races. Block height 18 pixels. Excellent stuff. That will do. Now we've got the gap down as 20 pixels, haven't we? Now actually thinking about it, we don't want to be using just like magic numbers like this. We want the size to be the same size as the text. Now we know through using AutomaticCSS that the desktop base size is medium, which is 18 pixels. Now ACSS has a variable that we can use for that. So let's get rid of this 18 pixels. And we'll drop in the variable for text M, which I know to be medium-sized text. And there we go. Look, we've achieved the same thing. We have an icon that is now 18 pixels high, and it's in line with the text, and it's the right size, and that's all cool. Now, we want to decrease the gap because 20 pixels is obviously way too big. So we're going to go with maybe 5 pixels or 4 pixels, 3 pixels, I don't know. Or maybe we should use M's. Let's try an M. There we go. Let's try 0.2, 0.25, 0.3. There, that'll do. Okay. We got a nice gap. It's all good. Right. We're off to a good start. Now, we need to turn this into a button. Now, ACSS has a number of classes that we can use to make this into a button. So we will we'll just try one of those and see if we can use that. So let's go with BTN primary, which is our primary button, very basic button. Wow, look at that. It's done it already. Excellent. Got an icon button. Sorted. That was easier than I thought it was going to be, if I'm honest. Okay. We can still adjust the positioning, I'm guessing, of the icon. If we just change that, we can move it back to -1. You know, before, we can have it after. There we go. Okay, cool. So we have an icon button. Now, with ACSS, we have access to other classes as well. So if I wanted this to be an outline primary button, then we can just add another class to it, BTN outline. There we go. Now we've got an outline button. As you can see, all the colouring is all handled by AutomaticCSS. We don't have to worry about hover styles or anything like that. So it's all pretty cool. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So I'll leave that as BTN primary. Okay, we'll just leave that as it is for now. Now we could just say we're done. That's it. There's nothing more to do. But what we could do, actually, we could turn this into a component now, so that this can be used elsewhere around the website. So let's turn it into a component. In order to do that, we just right click and click on create component. It turns purple. We're now in the component editor, which is over here on the right hand side. We can give it a name. We can give it a description. Now we need to have a think about what properties we need to have here. We're certainly going to need text for the button. We're going to need the URL to send people to. And we're also going to need an icon so that you can choose different icons. So let's go with the media property. There we go. We've got those. We're going to call this the button text. I'm going to call this the button URL. We'll call this button icon. There we go. Now we can replace this using the target. So if we click on the target here and select the text, then we can do that. Okay, that's all good. I don't think we can't do it with the URL because we can't see it here, so we will have to do that manually. And the icon, I'm not sure if that will work. Let's just have a try. Let's select the icon. No, I don't think it does. We've got access to some other icons here. We'll put the star in. Obviously, that isn't working here. So we're going to have to connect these ones. We're going to have to connect these ones manually. Okay, that's fine. If I change the text here, click for Google. There we go. And we'll just stick a basic value in there of google.co.uk. There we go. Right, we're going to save that. Let's have a little drinky drink. Okay, come out of that now. We can see there we've got our icon component. We can change the Google So the button text here, which is hello world. There we go. Can we change the icon? Nope. And we can't put a URL in there because we've not connected those properties up yet. So let's do that now. We can see under the properties, we've got the name of the property here. Then underneath we have the, these are called props, by the way. This is the code for the prop. Wherever we use this, it will change. It will render with whatever the value of this is, or whatever additional value we give it. So we want that's it, they're called keys. Okay, so we'll copy the key for button URL. And we'll go to the icon button, and we'll just stick it in there. I know that we need curly braces around this, so we'll do that. So that's all good. And we also need to deal with the icon as well. Now this returns the ID. But if we look at the HTML, it's not an ID, it's a link to where that SVG is in my installation of Etch. So we need to change this to URL. And we'll just select the star again. And then we'll copy the key, and then we'll stick it in here. So this is one of the best things about Etch. It doesn't hide the HTML or the CSS away from you. You can see them at all times. So you can manipulate them exactly how you need them to be. So we've now stuck the key in for the button icon prop, and as you can see, it's now changed to a star. Now this is the default value. If we change this to this arrow, for example, we've now got the arrow. If we change it to the heart, it's now the heart. But these are the default values. You can actually change these. So if we click on save and exit out of that, and we go to the properties. Now these properties are independent to all the other properties, to any other button. You can have multiple versions of these, and I'll show you that very shortly. So we'll go hello world, and we want it to go to we'll get it to go to my website, and we're going to have the icon as the heart. There we go. So we've got an hello world button which links to my website. If we duplicate this a few times, we can have a star on this one with different text. And on this one we can have a different icon again. We'll have this little chat one here, and more different text. We can change the URL to go to google.co.uk or google.com or whatever. So wherever you have these all around the website, you can have them all over the place, and they can all be independent from each other. If you wanted to edit the button, because it's a component, it will change that button across the whole website. So if we go and edit the component now, we can see that we have the button primary class on this. Now if we wanted to make all of these buttons into outline buttons, we just add another class. So we'll just call it a button outline, and they all now become outline buttons across the whole website. So you can see the power of this. It's really, really quite cool. I'll click on save and exit. So they're all now outline buttons. Let's change them back to normal ones. We'll do a bit more styling. Let's get doing some more funky stuff. Now, if we look at Elementor, for example, we can adjust the icon position. We can also adjust the icon spacing. So let's do that. Let's edit the component so we can make those changes. Now, we're going to need some extra props. We're going to need a text prop, which is going to accept a value for the gap between the icon and the text. And then we're going to need a select prop. So we could have before or after. There we go. Right. So I'll edit this one. We'll just call this gap. And then we've got the prop, the select, which will be icon position. There we go. Now in etch, in props, it's got some help text here, so you can have one option per line. You got the label and the value. So we'll do before. We'll call it before. After. We'll call it after. Now you don't have to. You don't. If it's the same word as the label, you don't actually have to use that. You could just have before and after, and then you can use a modifier to turn it into lowercase. But we're just going to keep it really simple. And also, I can't remember how to do that. So, but maybe we can look at that. Maybe we can look at that later in the video. So we've got icon position, before and after. The first option is always the default. Okay. So we can move these around. So we will just leave them as they are. I don't think they need to be any different. We'll click on save. So we'll say the default value, which we have over here, is 0.3 ems. And the default position of the icon is before. Now, we can't use the target icon here to put props in CSS. That is not possible. However, we can use them in other areas. And we're going to do that through sticking the actual value in a style command. So if we delete gap from there, and as you can see now, we've got no gap up here. If we go into the HTML, we can see all the HTML related to this button. Now what we can actually do is we can just stick a style in here. We're going to stick an inline style, okay, and we're going to go gap colon, and then we're going to choose the prop gap. Close the bracket things. There we go. I'm going to close that. So basically now what we've done is whatever the value is in here, it will put it as an inline style. Okay. So we'll just test that. We'll just go to exit. And we can see here now that we've got this prop on every instance of this icon button, which is really cool. Now the default is 0.3 em. We could put 5 pixels in there. We could put 10 pixels. We could put 50 pixels. Okay, and of course this is independent of every other icon button on the website. But we'll just stick with the default. Now we want to move the position of the icon from the beginning to the end. Now this is a little bit more complicated. And I think because we can't use these values in CSS, we're going to have to use a data attribute, I think. Now, data attributes will allow us to put the value of this prop into the HTML, and then we can use CSS to react based on whatever that value is. Okay, now we want to attach it to the icon. That's the best place to put the data attribute. And to add a data attribute in Etch, we press Command Enter. We get the class bar. I don't know what the actual name of this is, but we're going to add a data attribute. They always start with data, just helps you work out where they've come from. And we'll call this icon position, and then we'll just use the open and close quotes. Now, we need to put the value of this prop in this data attribute. So we're going to copy the key, and then we're just going to stick it in there. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if we need squirrely brackets or not. So we're gonna add them, and we're gonna see what happens. So I'll click on exit. Now we'll just delete all these other ones. We're all looking at one. We're going to change the position from before to after. Obviously, it's done nothing to the button because we've not connected up the CSS to react to whatever this value is yet. But we'll just have it set to after, and then we'll go and look at this on the front end. We'll see what we got in the HTML. So I'll right click, click on inspect, and then we will go to the button here. But we specifically want to look at the SVG, which is the icon. And as we can see here, we got the data icon position equals after. Okay, that's great. If we change this to before and click on save, if we go back and refresh and look at the SVG again, the data icon position equals before, which is fantastic. This is exactly what we want. So whatever the value is, we can now write CSS based on what this value is. And we can do all sorts of stuff. We can even change button colors and all sorts of funky things. So we'll go into edit the component, and we've got the data attribute on the icon element, which is the best place for it to be. And we can see here that the default setting is order -1. If we take that away, the default position of the icon is actually after the text. So we only need to write CSS to deal with the before part. Okay, we already know that if we stick an order -1 on it, we can move it before the text, but by default is after the text. So we need to write CSS now to be able to react to whatever the value of data icon position is. And the way we do that with CSS is we use the ampersand or the and or whatever they call it, and that tells CSS that that's me, right? When me has this value in data icon position, I want you to do this. Okay, so we need to get it to look at the value of data icon position. So we open the square brackets. Etch automatically puts closing square brackets, which is really useful. And we'll put data position icon equals, and we know we want to be affecting before only. Okay, so we'll just put before in, and then we put some CSS stuff at the end. Okay, so like I said, this command is saying if the data position icon value is before, then do this. And if we just stick order -1, that should be it. So we'll click on save and exit, and we'll click on after. If we change this to before, doesn't move. Okay, let's have a look at the let's have a look at the CSS, see what's going on. So we've got before set. Okay, so if you look at the look over here, SVG data icon position equals before. I mean, I'll be honest with you, when I'm looking at this, it's just all gobbledygook to me. Okay, so that's obviously not giving us any kind of help whatsoever. Okay, so we know we're getting the command in, but it's not reacting to the command. So I told you there would be speed bumps. I told you. Let's try again. Data position icon equals data icon position. Seriously. Oh my word. Okay. It helps if you get it right. Okay. So we've got before, after. Before and after. Ta-da! Oh dear. Right. Okay. We are off to the races. It's all good. We can change the icon. We can have loads of different ones and change the icons of them all if we want to. Change it to a star. Have this one as a heart. Change the position of this to after. And the good news is also, because Etch writes all of these as custom blocks, you have access to this in Gutenberg. So if we go back to the Gutenberg editor, you can see we've got the component here too. And we've got all of the props available to us over here. So we can change the text. This is a Gutenberg button. We can change the icon. We'll have an arrow on this one. We can change the gap. We'll put 50 pixels. Okay. We can change the position. And this is in Gutenberg. Okay. We'll save that. We'll go back to Etch. Let's see what happens. Look at that. The changes I made in Gutenberg are now available to me in Etch. Unbelievable. This is why I use Etch. Now, we're going to go a few steps further now. Well, one step. I don't think there's much. Oh, yeah, we can actually go 2 steps further. Now, as you'll have seen in the other buttons, certainly with Elementor, actually, no, you can't with Elementor. Or maybe you can. That's it. So if we put a link in here, say, I don't know, Microsoft.com, and if we click on the cog, we can get it to open in a new window and add no follow and all that kind of stuff. In Bricks Builder, we can do the same. We can select the link type. We'll say custom URL, and we'll say, I don't know, etchwp.com. We can get it to open in a new tab. We can add rel attributes, aria labels, and the title as well if you want to do that. So we at least want similar things in our button, in our icon button component. So let's sort that out. Let's make it happen. So let's deal first with the what should we deal with? We want to deal with the opening in a new tab. Yeah, let's deal with that. So let's, what do they call it in Elementor and all these? They just call it, no, okay, they don't call it anything. So we'll think of a name. Half the battle with this is thinking of a name. We're going to use a select prop for this. And we're just going to put open in. Okay. And the options we're going to have is same window, same, new window, new. Okay, that'll do. Actually, no, for the values here, we're going to use the actual HTML values for opening a new window or a tab. I don't know what they call it. So let's have a look. HTML, open new tab. Okay, let's have a look. How to open a link in a new tab. I can see here that we've got target equals blank, and I believe the one for opening in the same window is target equals self. Okay, so we'll go back to Etch and we'll go, the same window is going to be self, and the new window is going to be blank. Okay. I don't know who came up with these. They need to be shot. Okay, a bit drastic, I know. Let's click on save. Now, we need to be able to do this. So if we look at the HTML for this, you can see here it says target equals and then the value. Okay, that's pretty simple to do. So we're going to take the key, we're going to copy the key, and we're going to go to the A element, okay, and we're going to add a target equals, and then we're going to stick the prop in there. That should do it. Click on save. We will exit that, and we'll give this want to go to my website, and it should open in a new window. Okay, that's what we want it to do. We want it to open in a new window or tab, I suppose you could say. Let's click on it. There we go. We've got a new tab. We got my website. Excellent. Just what we wanted. And then if we want to change it back to same window, we'll click on same. Same is the default, so it should just open in the same window. We'll refresh. There we go. Fan dabby dozy. Okay, let's not stop there. Where else can we go now? What if we don't want all of our icon buttons to be blue? This is the beauty of CSS. If we want to change our palette, okay, you can very easily do it. We can have yellow buttons, we can have pink buttons, we can have purple buttons. Being able to do this very easily is pretty cool stuff in ETCH and, well, in AutomaticCSS. But we also have a secondary color, which is secondary. So let's just click on save, come out of that. What if we want some icons to be the primary color and some to be the secondary color? How do we deal with that? Now, you saw when we created the icon button at the beginning that we added the class BTN primary, --BTN primary, to the icon button itself. And we can see here in the HTML, in the class section, we've got BTN primary. Okay, if we delete that, okay, the BTN primary class disappears. But if I put it back in here, then it reappears and it's back over here again. If we change it to secondary, we've now got a secondary colored button. Fantastic stuff. But what if we want control of that? What if we wanted a secondary outline? I mean, if I just put outline on here, all of my buttons for this component would be the same. What if we want a bit more control? We can do that as well using props. So let's take that off there, and we're going to add a new prop. I'm just going to call it text, and we're going to give this property the name of button class, for example. And we're just going to stick a value in here of primary, which is going to be the default. Okay, if we copy the key and insert that into the HTML, okay, in there, we can see the value is now over here. We can see it's now changed into a button again. We click on save and exit. So let's just move this up because I know my head's going to be in the way. The default class on here is primary. Okay, but if I write outline in here, we're just going to get an outline button. Okay, we're just going to get an outline, but it doesn't know if it's a primary button, secondary button, or whatever button. So we can actually stack classes here. So we want a secondary outline button. And then we can duplicate this a few times. We can take the outline class off. We can change the icon. We can change whether it opens in the same window or a new window. All these buttons are now doing their own thing, but we have full, complete, global control of that button. What if in the future somebody says, we want the text to be bigger? Or maybe they want, what could we do for, we want the icon to be bigger in the button. We can just go to the CSS and just change it from text M to text L. We could change it to any kind of value we want, 100 pixels. Right? Every button across the whole website will now be changed because they all look the same, even though they all have their own independent values. Guys, this is super, super powerful. Super, super powerful. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else we can possibly add to this now. Let's just go and have a look at Elementor again. Open a new window, add no follow. Okay. I mean, you should. We'll leave that. That's a bit complicated. I'd have to sit here for a while to figure that one out. We've done that. Open a new value. Open a new window. We've done the icon. We've done the position. We've done the spacing. Has Bricks got anything else that we can use? The size of the button, outline, we've dealt with that. Link type, custom URL. There's the URL. Attributes. Rel. ARIA label. We could stick an ARIA label on the button so that when screen readers come across it, they announce it properly. Okay, let's delete these two. Let's edit the component again. I mean, we're really going further than we probably really need to, but it's good to just do everything properly. Make it all perfect. Property. Oh, what have I done here? Close that. Property. ARIA label. And the default value could possibly be the button text. Can we do that? Can we stick the key for button text in the ARIA label? I'm not sure. Let's find out together. Save and exit. Okay, so we've got this one called Gutenberg. If we go to the front end now, we've got our secondary outline button there. Go to inspect. We've got an ARIA label. Have we got an ARIA label on here? No, because we've not added it to the HTML yet. Silly boy. So we'll go to the A element and we'll grab the key and then we'll just stick it here. I don't think there's any real reason as to why these need to be in any kind of specific order. I'm just sticking them in as they are. I don't think it really matters. We'll stick the prop in there for ARIA label. Click on exit. So the ARIA label is now whatever the button text is. In my head, that works. But does it work in reality? Let's refresh. We'll inspect. ARIA label. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Okay. I suppose it was too much to ask. But if I put some text in here, say hello world and click on save and go here. Let's just refresh. We can see that the ARIA label is now hello world. So what we just need to do is we just need to go into the component and just take the default value out, and then we can just define the value however we want it. I don't know if you need it in there. You absolutely have to have it in there. Now, when it comes to accessibility, I often wonder whether we should be changing the tag of this to button, but I have it on good authority that because it's a link, screen readers will announce it correctly as a link. Search engines will know that it's for navigational purposes. Those with screen readers will get an announcement because we added the target of whether it'll open in a new tab or not. And people who use keyboards specifically, if they're using announcements, it will tell them where this link is going to go and whether it's going to open in a new tab. So everything is, we don't need to change the tag to button. So I think we're good to go. I don't think there's anything more that we can do with this. So we're nearly 50 minutes in. If I was just doing this on my own, I could probably have done this in about 15 minutes. You guys, seasoned developers, will probably be looking at this going, Ian, we could have done this in 5 minutes. But let's look at what we've created here. We've created an icon button from scratch using an anchor link, some styling, courtesy of AutomaticCSS. We've turned it into a component. We've now made it a smart button. We can now adjust the gap between the text and the button. We can adjust where the icon appears, if the icon is at the beginning or at the end of the button. We can choose whether it opens in the same window or in a new window. We can put our own classes on there now. We can change the label. We can change the icon and the URL that it goes to. We now have a button like you have in Bricks Builder or even in Elementor. And, it took 50 minutes to make it. But let's look at the HTML. Now, Bricks is pretty good when it comes to HTML. So if I look at this on the front end, actually, before we do that, let's have a look at it in ETCH. So in ETCH, we got the section, the container, we got the link, we got the SVG. So we got 2 lines of HTML. 2. No sign of it being a component in there. No funny stuff, nothing that doesn't need to be there. Everything that we've put in there is what I have put in there. There's nothing else extra. Let's look at Bricks. So we have our, eventually, we've got our icon button here. Let's inspect. Now, Bricks is not bad when it comes to HTML. It outputs pretty clean stuff. But look at what we've got. We've got an A, which is the link. We've got an I, which is the icon, which has got a pseudo element of before attached to it. And that's fine. I'm not sure if we did it with an SVG. I don't think we even have SVG as an option. I've not used Bricks for ages. Oh, we do have SVGs. Have I got any SVGs on here? God, man, this is slow. Icons, yeah. No, we've got no icons. Okay. But I'm sure that I would be replaced with SVG. So the code is not actually too bad, but it's added it as a pseudo element instead of using flex. Now, there's probably a reason as to why this is. But we'll address that another time. Let's. I think it's mainly because of responsiveness. Because if we make this screen really small, the icon is gonna kind of stack and it's gonna look silly. But I don't think the screen would get so small that this would become a problem, unless you had really long text in there. So let's just put, I love Gutenberg. It is the best in the world. Okay, if we dropped, see, there we go. It's not terrible, but you know, it can be fixed. But if you look also, the icon size has gone smaller. I think I know why that is. It's because we're using a variable to control the height of the icon. Maybe we shouldn't be controlling the height. Maybe we should be controlling the width. So let's have a look at this. So we'll go inline size of text M. Does that make any difference at all to our button? Save. Let's go smaller. No. I'm sure there are ways that we can protect that. I'd have to look into CSS. I did have it written down somewhere because someone mentioned it to me the other day. Let's look at Elementor. Let's look at what we've got here. So I'll click on publish. I believe the I will allow me to see this on the front end. There is the icon. Let's inspect this. Are you ready? So here's the button, which is a div. It's not even a link, an A. So we've got a div. Then we've got the A. Then we've got a span. Then we've got another span. Then we've got the SVG. Then we've got a span for the text. Then we've got a closing span for the text. A closing A for the... I mean, seriously, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 lines of code for the icon button in Elementor, compared to in Bricks, was it 1, 2 lines of code in Bricks and 2 lines of code in ETCH. Now, if you imagine multiplying that over a website with, say, 20 or 30 pages, and you may have 5 or 6 buttons on a page, 10 lines of code per button times, say, 5 buttons, that's 50 extra lines of HTML. How much time is that adding extra to the loading time of that page? Multiply that by however many pages there are on the website. I mean, this is why I don't use Elementor. Kids, Divi is worse. Divi is worse. I don't have a Divi installation here, unfortunately. Right, we're going to call it a day. We are 55 minutes more or less in. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. More to come. And I will address in private this business of the icon getting really small. If anyone knows the answer quickly, stick it in the comments below. See you next time.